As you probably know, Ripple, Andreessen Horowitz, and Coinbase put together a super PAC, and we've each put $25 million behind it to support candidates that are pro-crypto and pro-constructive regulation and engagement, really being pro-innovation but protecting consumers at the same time. I think that for a lot of politicians, crypto has become a soundbite where they don't really understand how crypto works, and they say things that actually don't even back up with facts. So, I do think it's a campaign issue. Ripple has leaned into that. I personally, my donations are bipartisan, but certainly pro-crypto, and that'll continue to be the case. I'll even highlight just today, John Deaton, a very prominent pro-crypto guy, announced he's running against Elizabeth Warren. So I think you're going to continue to see that. Correct.
So with that said, also, we know that Elizabeth Warren is trying to make the crypto industry's regulation around AML laws and KYC laws more akin to that of banking. Is this something a lot of the crypto industry has been very upset about? Is this something you're actively fighting?
Oh, no. On the contrary. I would actually argue that Elizabeth Warren has it wrong. If you sign up on Coinbase, you have to get KYC, know your customer. You have to go through a verification process of providing your licenses, and they do that verification. And as I said before, the vast, vast, vast majority of people who are in the crypto industry are good actors who want to play by the rules. We need to know what those rules are sometimes. But the KYC and AML are not rules that are confusing, and I find that the vast majority of the industry players are already leaning into that. I think Elizabeth Warren wants us to believe that those are things that somehow crypto is circumventing, but that's not the real world.
Utility and really solve real-world problems with these different digital assets. Bitcoin's doing that very well as a store of value. XRP and its dynamics around being very fast, very efficient, and low cost on a per transaction basis makes it ideal for payments, and that's where Ripple really has leaned into as a company. Look, we think there's some basic building blocks around crypto that are important to make crypto successful. Custody is an important part of that. For institutions to be able to custody both their own as well as their customers' digital assets, we think is very important. We've made 2 acquisitions over the last year in this space. One was a company in Switzerland, and then more recently, the Standard Custody. Standard Custody in particular has a trust license here in New York, which also makes it very valuable. Everything we have done at Ripple is compliant first. And I think this year, 2024, with FTX behind us, with some of the Binance dynamics largely behind us, I think has to be a compliance first mindset for all of the crypto industry.
Right now, if you go across the border, are you carrying $10,000 in cash?
You can carry it on your head. So what Bitcoin does is Bitcoin essentially says that money and speech are the same thing. And let me give you an example. A Swiss bank account, if I know the number and I know the password to that, that is money. That is as good as money, and I can cross borders with it. So they obviously can't stop you from crossing the border with money if you have a bank account somewhere remotely. Think of Bitcoin as a bank account in the cloud, and it's completely decentralized.
Measures like in our overnight reverse repo markets that we're trading, that we're getting 2.2 trillion nightly. Now it's about 500 million, or 500, yes. And so those are the sorts of things that tell me that there's still a lot of liquidity in the marketplace, not as much as before, and so we can continue. But as that gets further and further down, you're going to have to ask a more sophisticated set of questions to really understand how much liquidity there is in the marketplace. Because ultimately, all of this was done to make sure that markets could function. Markets are still functioning, both in terms of the money market side and in mortgages. That's a good thing. We just want to make sure that our actions don't trigger dysfunction.
So is that a summertime story too?
It could be. I'll tell you, as the overnight repo markets have moved, I have increasingly talked to my folks in the building and saying, we need answers for this. We need to start to have an idea about what kind of playbook we would have in thinking about what's happening and what our policy change should be. That is in process now. I'm hopeful we'll get answers and we'll have a view on this in the next month or so.
Came out strongly against a central bank digital currency, which would be a government-controlled digital dollar. China obviously has its own push in the Chinese digital currency. But isn't the next logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well, a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar. But a lot of people are doing it. And frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know. But many people are embracing it. And more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin. And you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Sonali Basak. Sonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, please like and subscribe if you do like what you're listening to. Please inform your friends and family and spread it all over social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works, because once we understand how the world really works, we understand that it is all planned out. Now, I want to thank those who purchased the books Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book. Remember, the New World Order book shows you how the world really works, and it is definitely time for you to wake up out of that sleep, especially in the times that we're in right now. And 2024 is going to be one of our most entertaining years. We have the presidential election. We have the drums are beating. We have the emerging markets going to be flipping the switch on the fourth industrial revolution. Now, we had the Fed signal rate cuts, but remember, guys, they haven't cut rates yet. So like I told you, I definitely see a big pullback in the first quarter. Then the master magician set up a distraction so the Fed can cut rates, and then we move up. And also, guys, I want to thank those who purchased the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, much love to those who donate to the Cash App, Patreon. Much love. Keep it coming. Guys, if you're not a part of the Patreon, make sure you're donating to the channel through the actual Cash App. But guys, this next Bitcoin and crypto bull run is going to be a utility run. So you want to make sure you have the cryptos that have real utility. And much love to those who are shopping at both stores. Keep it coming. And of course, guys, we get into Bitcoin and cryptos first.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And right now, we have Bitcoin and crypto slightly up. Guys, we're on the weekend. We're the only game in town. And then, guys, we look at CME futures. The volume on Bitcoin and Ethereum dropped, but the open interest held steady. And guys, we know CME opens tonight, so we know it's going to move the market. And then, of course, in the morning, once yields start moving good, then we know it's going to move the market again. So make sure you're paying attention to the actual indicators. We have yield rates on Friday, which were down. We have the dollar flat. We have volume and crypto down. Then we have Tether and USDC. And then, of course, guys, we have the Fed. Repo at $520 billion. And they basically told us this repo is going to end during the summer, but they all have something new. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And then, guys, we have Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse advocating for better political understanding of crypto. And, guys, we know definitely these politicians understand crypto. And we know a lot of them are already invested in crypto, especially when we know that our big banks and big corporations were funding crypto from the beginning. And never forget the purpose of Bitcoin and crypto. It was to get rid of the big banks, the politicians, but now we see the big banks, big corporations, and the politicians are coming from behind the curtain because they were controlling the narrative from the beginning. Bitcoin just didn't happen to come out of nowhere from 2008 crisis. The powers that be, the NWO, knew that this system was going to end. All fiat dies. So what do? They take it to a digital currency where nothing will be real. Everything is going to be tokenized and put on blockchain and sent inside the virtual world, which they call it the metaverse. So that's the reason why it's so important for you to understand the technology. I think the NVIDIA CEO stated there's no reason for kids to learn coding. Yes, it is, because now the language is changing to computer language, and it's something that your kids need to understand, so therefore they can build. The big corporations want to be in charge of the building. Don't learn coding, let AI do the coding. They want generation to rely on machines. That's the same way a lot of people rely on government, and they get disappointed every time. And that's the reason why knowledge is so important. My people perish from the lack of knowledge. And not because it's not there, it's because they reject it. Take the time out. Take the time out with your kids. We clearly see that we're about to move over to this new economy because the sheep are asleep, staying distracted on things that don't matter. So we know they're going to fall for the devil's tricks. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now, guys, do not forget about the Bitcoin spot ETFs. We have BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale. All were down on Friday. But getting over into a little crypto news. We have FTX reaches 33 million settlement over failed European expansion. And I'm not going to say what I want to say because, of course, this is on YouTube. But guys, if you're paying $323 million for a company and they get to buy it back for $33 million, something's not right there. And we know the banks are the biggest what? I'll let you finish that. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. But that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books. Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.